PC gamers spend billions of dollars building custom rigs specifically to avoid the walled gardens of console gaming. Yet, hidden inside a recent Windows 11 update is a mode that forcibly collapses that open architecture, making the desktop mimic a tightly sealed console. The rollout of update KB5083631 introduced a hidden feature called Xbox Mode. When activated, the operating system intentionally and aggressively disables its own core desktop background features. Early speculation suggested this was a simple trick to pause background tasks and free up a couple gigabytes of system RAM for higher frame rates. The mechanical reality is much more invasive. Personal computers use a general-purpose open architecture with split memory pools burdened by heavy operating system overhead. Consoles operate on highly specialized unified memory loops that let software run bare metal directly on the hardware. To decode why Microsoft is deliberately restricting its own desktop operating system today, we have to look back at 3 decades of architectural struggle to merge these two entirely hostile systems. In the mid-1990s, game developers relied on MS-DOS. They needed unencumbered, direct access to the hardware components to run their code. Microsoft's heavy, emerging Windows NT kernel inherently blocked this access to maintain system stability, making the operating system actively hostile to game development. To prove Windows could be a viable gaming platform, Microsoft launched an initiative to port Doom directly to Windows 95. This project forced the creation of the DirectX API. Armed with this new interface, the company set out to capture the living room console market. Their first attempt was an $18,000 milled aluminum prototype known internally as the DirectX box. Despite the unique metallic casing, the internal hardware of this prototype consisted entirely of standard desktop PC components. They had simply hidden a personal computer inside a sealed box. Disguising a PC successfully established their living room presence, but achieving the raw performance required for future generations meant Microsoft would have to tear down the operating system entirely, and they had to build a radically different new architecture. The mandate to create this hyper-efficient system fell to Dave Cutler, the architect behind the foundation of the modern Windows kernel. Cutler's solution bypassed the traditional desktop model entirely. He implemented a Type 1 bare metal hypervisor, a system that takes a single piece of hardware and cleanly slices it into completely separate virtual machines. The first layer of this architecture is the host OS, which manages the physical hardware. Sitting next to it is the shared OS partition, a lightweight environment assigned to run the console's dashboard and background applications. The system's true power lies in the third partition, the exclusive OS. This isolated tunnel is dedicated entirely to executing game code, providing a direct, high-speed pipeline straight to the hardware layer with zero interference from background tasks. This strict hypervisor isolation guarantees maximum resource efficiency. It explains why a console can routinely outperform a general-purpose desktop computer that has significantly more expensive hardware on paper. Modern game design requires massive data throughput. Features built on the Xbox Velocity architecture constantly dump and retrieve up to 20 gigabytes of memory state asynchronously, bypassing the main processor entirely. This requires a raw data flow of 2.4 gigabytes per second. The standard Windows desktop environment, constantly interrupting the data stream to process routine background applications, chokes under this load. This brings us back to the present day, and the anomaly of the KB5083631 update rolling out to standard PCs. Through Xbox Mode, Microsoft uses containerization to artificially simulate Cutler's bare metal exclusive OS partition directly on consumer desktop hardware. By suspending the core desktop features, Microsoft is forcing an inherently bloated PC environment to behave with the rigid discipline of an Xbox console. 30 years after the first attempts to make Windows 95 game-ready, the desktop has finally adopted the hypervisor-led isolation, once exclusive to the Xbox.